Warning: the following episode of That Mental Ginger Show contains strong language and adult themes. On today's episode of That Mental Ginger Show, we talk to actor David McDevitt. David was a really cool guy. Like, he reminds me of one of my mates. Just so easy to talk to. Like, you could have talked to him and did talk to him for quite a while. And I teased a little bit of news that could be coming your way soon. But what news was it? Well, I don't tell you now, but if you want to find out any of the other stuff, let's get to the intro.
All right, troops.
David, an absolute pleasure to have another Scottish actor on. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm absolutely wonderful. Yeah, just another day in the life.
Just another day in the life, indeed. What we've got through yet another day. I think that pretty much sums it up. Every day, like since the pandemic, really.
Let's go with that one.
Yeah. Oh, I like your style already, buddy. Like it. One thing that I always like to do, David, is I like to get my guests to tell us about their origin story, because if there's one thing we all have in common, we all have an origins. So, David, for my faithful followers, please tell us your origin story.
Okay, where to start on this one?
Where were you born?
Where? Dundee.
There we go. So you've got your starter for 10.
So Dundee, born and bred there. As much as I hate that phrase, it's only found out the family lineage as well, which is quite interesting. But we'll stick to me on that one. Off the bat, rough childhood, very rough. Father left twice. See, not many people can say that one. He came back with the milk, but then he went for cigarettes.
Oof. In fairness, my boys will be able to say it's been left once, because mine was forcibly removed by social work, got better, came back, to be continued.
The ellipses of this engagement will continue.
Yeah.
Next week for our finest hour. All right, next episode. That's it.
Well, next episode, I'm reporting from a hostel because social worker finally got me again.
Reporting from the caves of Baghdad. I have eluded myself for so long. So
there actually is, just quickly, there's a podcast that I go on occasionally, the Endless Celts podcast, and there was a guy who was recording from Afghanistan, and he was Scottish. Well, you know what the worst part was? He'd better Wi-Fi than me, the fucker. Couldn't believe it.
That moment Elon Musk starts selling Starlink to the Afghan militants. Oh, that's a bad phrase to say. But
don't worry, man. This podcast is known for being unedited. Well, because life is unedited. We don't apologize for it here. Fire away, my friend.
Rough childhood in that sense. The biological father left twice. I'd say bullied, but at this point, looking back, it's effectively torture. It wasn't exactly the best. Stabbed at 11. Dundee's not. Yeah. Oh, here's the fun bit. The boy that stabbed is now technically a doctor. I know the irony.
Oh, please tell me he's a surgeon.
I actually think he is going into surgery. I do think he actually is trained to be a surgeon, of all things.
Oh, how imagine that. Like, you end up in the hospital for something, right? Like, say, if you had your appendix out.
I haven't. I do know people that have, so right. I do know this. I know the system on that one.
Yeah. Well, just imagine that. Like, you need to get your appendix out, and it's that guy, and he's just going, "Oh, there's my previous handiwork."
Well, hopefully not. His previous handiwork went right into my right cheek.
Jeez.
And not on the face.
Oh, you know what? He's just turned you over, going, "I thought I recognised that."
That's gotta look familiar.
Ouch, man.
I remember the dimensions. So there was that. Left school effectively, i.e. primary school, didn't go in. For the rest of P7, they couldn't give a shite. High school, though, that's when they really pretend to care. And I stand by the statement that effectively school is a prison system for boys. It is a hierarchy. If you're at the bottom, you're at the fucking bottom. Fight your way up. As bad as it is to say, the only way to actually win in high school is to fight. You can eventually went back into high school. Torture continued. Finished high school with next to fuck all in the way of education. What did I get? I got like 2 2s and a Nat 5, PE, RMPS and English, considering I liked science, so that was quite fun. Went off into college to do more hires to kind of push myself. Dropped out to join the military because that was the career I'd always wanted.
Wow. Well, I really regret making that Afghan joke now.
Oh, don't! I never got in.
Oh, did you not? What did you try? Were you going for the big army? Or was it the Air Force TAs? Tell me.
It was well. So in the way the process works, you get to make your choices. Like, so when you choose the branch, you get choices. So I was going for the army. My choices were Armored Engineer Corps, RTR, being Royal Tank Regiment, and then the Paras. Now, did all the paperwork that got through. Went to my pre-selection day. Did well there. They even had a wee this boy knows his stuff. But they didn't get the medical report until I think it was 3 days before I was supposed to go to ICT Catterick, being the infantry training centre. So they do a selection weekend where you go for 2 days. They basically tell you need to get your fitness up. If your mental aptitude's a bit too low, in the sense of like basic maths, basic English, they'll make these things for you. Your knowledge, well, they'll give you a memory test by giving you 3 lessons on things like the type of hand grenades we use, the type of vehicles we use, or the type of body armor, things like this, or camouflage, absolutely anything. And then the next day you do a test on it. You then have an interview and it proceeds from there. Never got to that stage because it came out because I got stabbed in the arse and I just refused to go into school because I was effectively tortured that much. Didn't get in due to anxiety.
Wow. Well, so essentially you got done for PTSD before you even got PTSD in the army.
Pretty much, but here's the fun bit. I didn't get depression. I wasn't diagnosed with depression until after that.
Wow.
I know, the irony. So, apparently been depressed since the age of 8 and I've been suicidal since the age of 11. Not actually saying I want to kill myself, but contemplating life from the age of 11.
There is a terminology for that. I use it. There is a legit. But what I mean, I've tried to kill myself like 5 times since I was 14, which is proof I'm the ultimate choke artist.
I mean, comedy comes in 3s, so technically, if you think about it, you're heading up to your second joke. Yeah,
well, that is it. And then because I talk about that bit, and then let's talk about how there is like a condition where you want to, where you think about wanting to kill yourself and what it would be like to die, that kind of stuff, but you don't actually have any plans for it. So I just said that was the same. So I just said that was the same as an open mic night.
Of all things, there is actually a thing like that. It's not even this in that sense. When you get to like a really high cliff, or you see a lot of speeding traffic, and you just have that. There's just that wee voice in the back of your head that says, "Jump." Yeah. It's an actual phenomenon called the call of the void, or the call to the void. It's a very interesting phenomenon because almost everyone in life experiences it at one point or another. But those who have suicidal tendencies, they don't listen to it. They just notice that things happen and they can say, I can do it there, I can do it there, I can do it there, I can do it then. And technically it's an accident and they're the ones that get the fault.
So where there's blame, there's a claim.
Exactly. And I work in retail. Has the camera seen me see that wet floor? Nope. Compensation, here I come.
Oh,
Workers' comp.
I worked in retail as well. I feel your pain. What it was a certain, what I can't say the name. We'll call him Crapolan, right?
That's fair enough. That's fair
Yeah.
enough. Because without saying anything, all I'm going to say is we know that there's a massive drug epidemic in Scotland. And there's always that one phrase, that one supermarket phrase that can always be associated with drugs, and that's every little helps.
Aha, yes, yes.
Okay, I have to admit, I did steal that joke from Darrell O'Brien.
I know that from his stand-up. I went to actually see that gig where he tested
Oh,
out that
crack
material.
dealer.
Yeah. Yeah, I went and seen that gig, and it was like I was just like brilliant. And I have also worked for them. My best friend has just gotten out of that hell. So yeah, respect to you if you're still in amongst that, because that's a tough gig.
I don't do comedy. Not here. Americans like it, but
yeah.
So,
have you ever worked in that place's warehouse?
No.
Don't.
I like how that's instant. No. Oh, you should have said don't.
Yeah,
but
I'm just trying to help your mental health here, my friend. This is what we do.
Oh, fair enough. That's one to keep in the head. Actually, so continuing down, because I believe you'll like this next bit.
Hey.
So here's a fun bit. Now, we all know the NHS.
Oh yeah, worked there for 8 years, so fire away on this one, my friend. I am going to love this.
So the NHS, personal beliefs, this is going to get a bit of backfire. Certain areas can be privatized and made much more efficient and much more cost effective if privatized. So one area being mental health. I was on the waiting list after going to a GP and saying, well, the GP believes I should go and be evaluated. 8 months before I got the appointment, which was 1 month later. I went and got the appointment. It was confirmed depressed. I was already on antidepressants from the GP.
Yeah.
On that day, I came back. Well, finished my appointment. My mother picked me up. I was at this point, I was 21. So I know I've skipped a bit of a gap here. So in that gap, there was a bit of work, was on job seekers allowance. Well, at that point, universal credit. And then still living with the parents, bits and pieces.
Yeah.
I intend to pay the money back to the government, in which case that's only the better part of me, like what? The better part of $3,000.
Yeah, once the government can pay back the government, then I think they could come to you.
Exactly. So, but after that meeting, when they said, yeah, we do believe you're depressed. However, the only thing that would happen is we'll do about 4 one-to-one sessions and then get you into group sessions. I didn't want to talk to complete strangers about my issues.
Exactly.
That's me. Now, I'll come back to that sentiment in a second. So we move on. So we finished that at 11 o'clock. My mother comes, picks me up, but she comes and picks me up 45 minutes after the appointment. To which point I get told by my mother that I have to make the decision, or the decision's already been made. Actually, no, it was already been made. That afternoon, my dog was getting put down.
Ouch.
Yeah, so needless to say, I kind of got off the medication at that point. Yeah. Now, that's the life side of when I started to go down to my lowest properly. I did have my low moments, but not as bad as that. So, a few months earlier, I was contacted by the Dundee Rep, being the Dundee Reptar, have you. If you ever want to go there and watch anything, by all means, it's pretty much just Scottish Dance Theatre, I believe it still is. They mainly do a lot of things. It's mainly touring as well. They still do have an ensemble, but they predominantly do effectively half musicals, or more plays with musical numbers. So, I thought to myself, you know what, fuck it. I sent them a letter when I was like 19 because I wanted to do something on the side with acting.
Yeah.
They came back to me those few years later. I said, yeah, sure, why not? I'll do it. Did some workshops, kind of thought, this is a bit stupid. This seems a bit fucking off. This is a bit weird. Still enjoyed myself, so I thought I'll stick it out. Continued down that road. Then we got to this apex of a low moment.
Yeah.
It was on that day when it was 1 week later when I was in and I apologized to them why I wasn't in. They completely understood why. And it resulted in this kind of back and forth mentally with myself because I was like, I'm not speaking throughout this fucking script read. But we ended up choosing that script there and then. We're like, out of the 3, we'd like to do this one. So it was the Angry Brigade. I can't remember I can't remember the name of the author. So we did the Angry Brigade. I played John. And it was just through that process, I kind of got about halfway through rehearsals and I thought to myself, I enjoy this. I like this. This is something I can see myself doing. Now, fair to say, there was a few people in that group who did make it known that if you want to do it as a career, you have to know you want to do it, which is them subtly saying, nah, don't do it. We don't think you can do it. Well, so that's why I interpret it.
Yeah, it's always a thing, isn't it? Oh, excuse me, my friend. I am so sorry about that. If you weren't awake before, you've got it now. But I always find that, do you think that like the performing arts, for somebody that's got mental health, adding mind games into the mix does not fucking help you?
Oh, just wait till I get on to my college experience without naming names.
Hey,
because that's about to come up. So we do the show. Well, here's where it comes in that sense for college. I get the audition for a college, not an acting school, because I'm like, this is close to me. I don't have money to go anywhere. I'll do it here. So I went to the audition. Didn't read a single bit of the email to say what to do.
Nice.
So I prepped a monologue for it. Oh, that's also a side note. I actually applied to do the acting course 4 years prior, but didn't do it didn't go for it because I was like, a bit scared. So kind of went to it. I did eventually go to it. So we did the day. I thought, oh yeah, they're going to make us come in, do something for like 2 hours, and then I get a fuck off home.
Yeah.
Fuck me, that was a full long day. I'm like, fucking Christ. So a lot of workshops, then lunch, then you do your monologues.
Yeah.
Well, because I was going for the lowest level, I only did one monologue. You only had to do the one. I picked William Shakespeare's Henry V, Act 3, Scene 1, because that's the most notable one for me. First performance. Forgot it. So I'm sorry, I forgot it. Sat down. Everyone did their bits and pieces. I went downstairs later on. We did it again in front of a different lecturer. Forgot it again. But he said, "Don't worry. This isn't about memorizing the lines. This is just about taking direction." And then he gave me some directions, which was, "Can you do it like this?" To which I did, and we ended up having a chat after it.
Yeah.
So it turns out as well, I actually knew somebody on the course in, at that point, HNC, going on to HND, but he left to go and do things with his band through a company that does zombie mazes.
Nice.
I've not really worked with them much recently in the past few years. Just because A, I just don't have the time, and B, most of the time I just can't be bothered. Not gonna lie. So there was that. So yeah, I ended up showing pictures of him, like this guy who was on the course, in full makeup as Pennywise.
Hey.
To which this lecturer stated to me, "Now, David, remember, this is an interview. was like, I understand, but I have to show you this because I do quite like it. And I showed him all these different pictures, and he kind of saw that I did quite like it, and I was quite enthusiastic about acting.
Yeah.
So I come back to this youth theatre group. I speak to the director, whatnot, and she says, "Oh, that's quite good." And it's like, "Well, what do you need for it?" Well, I needed a really good bloody reference. So I'm like, "Now, I don't know what you think of me, but please make it good." Well, I got onto the course. So I got onto the lowest level of the course. And all that is just basically learning about theatre, learning about what theatre is, learning about the styles of theatre, the conventions, the styles, the practitioner styles, and learning how to create devised theatre.
Yeah.
Well, I state openly that I fucking loathe creating devised theatre.
That's a boy. But devised theatre was something I was never good at college. I feel the pain.
It's not that I'm not good at it. Don't get me wrong. I just find it to be the most pretentious bullshit 90% of the time, because it's okay. So you've got the guys who create it. Goat Island, fair enough. But they made these different techniques, these different styles to create something you're like, I don't understand and I don't follow, but I understand that there's a story behind this. Whereas other times it's like, whereas most devised theatre is like, we'll just do these exercises and then we'll just make a story around it. It doesn't have to be anything. And it's like, I can guarantee I can flip a coin. It's either going to be about death or it's going to be about sadness. One or the other. Yeah. And philosophy always does that. It's always love or death. It's always going to come to that. That's always what it's going to be. And I state that. Yeah. Well, I didn't know that I didn't know this at the time. So we do it. We have a small task, which the director stated, you have 7 minutes to go and write a small piece of text that you will perform about the fear of acting. Interesting. Now, I have no fears when it comes to being on stage. If something goes wrong, it goes wrong. You adapt, you improvise, you overcome. P.S. Fuck Bear Grylls. There's another story I've got to bring up to you about that. That's just a side tangent. Now,
we love tangents on this show, my friend, so don't worry. We will come back to Bear Grylls.
So going back to this device piece, this task on fears, I thought to myself, well, I don't have any fears. So what do I show to show that I don't have any fear? Well, I got down to my fucking boxers. Hey. And I was about to go further. However, I was like, nah. Let's rein it back a little bit. So got down to my boxers and socks, to which point I'm like, she's not going to care about this. I didn't know who this woman was.
Excuse me, my friend.
She goes, that's in. What? Oh, that's it. So fast forward to the performance of it. Because it's a very base level thing, you've got kind of mums, dads, brothers, sisters, grannies, granddads.
Yeah.
Other people in the college.
Yep.
Little did we realize some of the public were in.
Well, hey.
There's me getting down to my briefs in front of nearly 200 people.
Ah, boy.
However, there was a small line, and it's used the word difficult because it falls around something of a personal point that I brought up, being that I find it difficult to express emotions.
Yeah.
However, there's me in my boxers saying, I find it hard. Pause. Look down, look up, and I visibly covered up myself. I'm like, I used the wrong word there. Nobody looked. Yes. Begging for forgiveness. And then scurried off. At which point, we ended up finishing the show. We got our feedback. Came back after winter, which is when COVID hit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that. Now, going back to this tangent about Bear Grylls.
Hey.
So my mother did remarry to my now current stepdad. who we'll call Hef. Just liability issues, just in case it is classed as defamation. He's former British Army, former master, well, what the Americans would call a master sniper.
Wow.
So he plus 11 others revamped the British sniper school.
Ooh.
So it was shite. The sniper school was shite. Him and 11 others re-established the British sniper school, to which it's now one of the best in the world. So to state who this man is, he hates arrogance, like deep, and I mean deeply hates arrogance. Coming from one of the most arrogant fuckers I know. So
it's a bit of self-loathing then?
In his aspect. So he trained some gentlemen from the SAS.
Yeah.
2 of which failed. One of them failed for a legitimate reason, being he was up to his 6th week, as it was a 6-week program, came up to his 6th week, and he had an objective that was to infiltrate an area, set up a sniper position or overlook position, depending on what you want to call it.
Yeah.
Eliminate the target and exfiltrate without being detected. Now, they have to be followed at all times, not bang on right next to them, but followed at all times from a distance.
Yeah.
The stepdad, being observant as he was, looked down just at the very right moment and found a magazine on the ground.
Oh.
Kept going, found more magazines, found this, well, he followed the guy to his wee position.
Yeah.
Was set up, went to go and load his rifle. To which point he had no magazines.
Uh-oh.
He didn't strap them down. He was failed for failing to secure his ammunition, which would result in a failure of mission, well, failure of objective.
Yeah.
This boy was SAS. He failed the course.
Right.
Rightfully so. So something stupid. That's how serious he was. 3rd week of this SAS guy doing this program, he was the most arrogant motherfucker that the stepdad had met, solely because I've got the sandy berry. Yeah, okay. So the whole berry system, the SAS aren't black; it's sand colours.
Yeah.
Basically got on a small standoff. To which point the stepdad said, "Get the fuck off my camp." Now the stepdad isn't an officer at that point. I think he was still a sergeant major, and literally told a member of the SS to get the fuck off his camp. To which point the man had no fear. He didn't care who you were. He even shows that today when he drives his BMW.
Yeah.
He has no fear.
BMW does stand for big massive wanker.
He's a HGV driver. He knows how to drive. It's when other people don't drive properly. So there's that. So get on to Bear Grylls and why the stepdad hates him and why I now hate him. So Bear Grylls was a member of 22 SAS, which is the SAS Reserve.
Yeah.
Now, yes, it's true. They go through the same rigorous training. However, the issue with Bear Grylls is he made it seem as though that he was a massive survivor of a severely broken back.
Yeah.
Fair enough, his back was broken, but not as bad as he made it out to be. And plays like that. Also, apparently, he failed a good few of his survival training.
All right.
And had to reset a good few things. And a lot of people said that can't be right until you saw all of the behind the scenes of his fucking Survivor shows. And you're like, why is there a table with a cloth on it and a massive platter? Oh, he ain't eating worms, he's eating caviar. So, going back to acting.
Yep.
So we progress through. I then come into my 2nd year of college. And we're once again more fucking device shite.
Yep.
And ends up being this piece about this about a guy in the class who we don't fucking know. It just went downhill. It went downhill and it kept fucking rolling. We were supposed to do it live before Christmas. It then turned out we were doing it online after Christmas because restrictions changed. We did it, and I thought, thank fuck, that's over. We then moved on to production, which was Antigone revamped effectively. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't care much for it. I still did it because I got the lead character, but I didn't care much for it. Like the play itself was, no one was the villain, no one was the hero, just a shitty situation. But that was Greek tragedy for you.
Very true.
So we then move again further. We're finally, we did that on stage, but we ended up having to do 2 shows in one day rather than it being 3 shows over 2 days.
Yeah.
Just because COVID. Very limited number of people. We only had an audience. The first audience I think was like 20-ish, and then the second one was like 7. I know. And these plays,
if anything, that prepares you for real theatre, because my first ever play that I put on, a total of like 8 people came, and we had a 300-seater theatre. That type of thing breaks you, man. Breaks you. Well, excuse me, I'm going to quickly shout on my wife to get a tissue so I don't keep sneezing and interrupting you all the time.
You're all good.
Alison, thank you. Love you. And trust me, all this will stay in. Well, I stick to my word of being unedited.
Here's the funny thing. My mother is called Alison.
Right. Need to ask with 1 L or 2?
1.
Yay. She's got taste. My wife is a 1 L Alison as well. Thank you very much, dear.
Alison,
you're a savior. Yeah. Right. Love you. Hey.
But yeah, so we did that. That's just kind of where it went, unfortunately. We moved further down the fields. We go into 3rd year of college, which I'm currently almost finishing.
Ah, boy.
Yeah, praise up. The first production, you do 2 productions this year. So the first one we did, Laramie Project. I got the characters I wanted.
Yeah.
Well, 1, because there's about fucking 70. 70 characters, and it's a 3.5 hour play of just text. Now, we did that show 5 times. 5 times over 3 days. And these were people who, half of which have barely done 2 shows over 2 days. So there's that. Now, the stress definitely began to show when we got into pre-production week.
Yeah.
Because basically, I don't know if you've ever said this before, but anyone that's looking to get into it through college, actually through a college, you'll get a pre-production week that's a bit of an introduction to going on stage. Yeah. You'll have rehearsal studios, but then you actually go into it. Because there's probably a vast number of people that watch this that are still yet to figure that one out. So we go into pre-production week, and technically it's 2 weeks of pre-production. We got lucky with that one.
Yeah.
At which point, commence Operation Clusterfuck.
Hey, so it wouldn't be a final college year if there wasn't Operation Clusterfuck at some point.
Oh no, trust me, this has been a continuous from day 1. So day 1, everyone merges because we had 2 classes that merge into 1. So it's a hi, how are you? Things like this. So this is put a face to a name type of thing.
Yeah.
Now, not a lot of people know the dramas from each class. Fuck me, there were some strong ones. So
yeah. They always seem to have that.
That goes back and forward.
Yeah, it's like you don't realize that, this person, you got to watch this person, what about this person? You're like, I just want to do the course, do as best I can, and go. Yeah.
Exactly. So all the drama started coming out about who does what, who's a bit touchy, who says a bit too much, who says things are a bit close to the line.
Yeah.
I'm the one that says things that are a bit too close to the line.
Oh, you fit in here, my friend. There's a line,
Actually-
and it's about 3 miles behind me.
Actually, sorry, my girlfriend's right there. She just looked at me and went,
Well, if she's not camera shy, you can bring her around. Okay, the first time I actually had like a girlfriend coming around going, hello.
camera shy.
Okay, well, I'll just say,
Come around. She says no.
that's all right. Hello, David's girlfriend.
Just says hello, David's girlfriend. She says, hi.
Well, there we go. Like, we've had a cameo from my wife. We've had a cameo from your girlfriend. We're just including everybody in this. This is what we do. This is how we roll. This is like a devised podcast, if you will. We'll just had to get that in. Sorry, buddy.
So, we're starting the production. So, well, we cut the year's gonna join. We find out a bit about who does whatnot. We get a few other people in. To which point we go to pre-production week. Now, to cut 6 months short, the play was blocked quite quickly. The lines were done quite quickly. It was just refining it quickly.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of set that had to come on, there was a lot of set that had to go off, and there was a lot of effectively teamwork because you're all in college together. You don't have a fucking props department. You've got a stage manager who can get you the furniture, but you're the ones that have got to move it. And there was a lot of my projects got the better part of what, about 65 odd moments, something like that. Moments basically just being, instead of scenes, here's a block. The amount of set changes, Christ, it was just as set changes, costume changes. You had your base costume, but then on top of that, you also had 3-4 actual costumes, and then on top of that, general costumes.
Wow.
So whenever you were doing anything, you had to have your costume in the right place on the right rail at the right time. And this is a proper test to what you're about to do and go on to the actual theatre.
Yeah.
So we're going through it. Cracks are beginning to show. People are getting a little bit
tense,
back and forward with each other. The repeated lines of the far side kept getting on my fucking tits, because everyone would just go up to the bar at random points and just go, the far side. We're in the middle of a fucking rehearsal. Literally, director. Okay, can we get everything sorted for the top of Act 1? I'm the only one moving shit. An hour later, the far side. If you don't stop fucking saying that, this desk is going over that fucking bar. That's just my one. But then at
this takes me back, my friend. This takes me back.
But here, that's just my own pet peeves. At that point as well, you also had 4 people wanting to fight. People didn't know their lines. People were just not caring. Other people were just shite. Other people were just... It's a small space, so you have to walk quite quietly. Our first actual performance, this guy has to exit stage left and then enter stage right about less than 30 seconds later. He fucking sprints like an elephant down the back, where you just hear fucking stomp, 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 stomp. I'm like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
So there's that.
All sense of like the kind of like the way you move backstage, like the kind of gazelle movements. They go out the window the second you realize you've got like less than 30 seconds to get your arse from one side to the other. It just goes right out the window.
But even then, he could have exited stage left, stood there, and then entered stage right, because it was a complete blackout for us to then go into our positions. The fucking Egypt.
Oh man.
So there's that. So that happened there, right? So that's the performance side. Now for the drama side.
Hey.
You've got so 2 people in the class were dating. Well, that stopped when one other person went with somebody else. And now those 2 people are now together. Now I understood it at that point where the guy's really pissed off. So he has a good few bits, but then somebody else in the class is basically spreading shite about both of them to each other, causing mere shite. Then you have what can only be described as these brain dead asinine morons who would literally, okay, we're about to carry on a fucking desk, And these literally lumbering oafs would just stand there and stare at you like you've just gone and fucking put a fucking headlight to a gazelle. You're like, fucking move!
Oh man. Well, it sounds like the premise of a CW show, like like one of those Riverdale things or something. You should take notes of everything that is happening and then submit it to like one of the American networks once it's all done.
Fucking would.
I guarantee you, it would end up being like Glee but better, like the 100
Glee
times
without the
better.
music.
Yeah,
so,
that would make it better.
So, here's the kicker. Our worst performance of that was one of the classes below us, plus some people from Life.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody I knew was in that one. I audience. But what happened was the class below, two of them fell asleep. 2 of them fell asleep. 3, 4 of them were on their phones. And one just upped and left. So at the end of Act 1, everyone is a lot of people are just absolutely livid. To which point one of the girls who played Reggie Flutie, who's got one of the kind of most important bits of text at the end of the first act, literally yells, "Just fuck off," where you could hear it across the whole auditorium. I'm like, shut the fuck up, they're there. So there's me having to go to the director and say, now, people aren't happy. Here's why. X, Y, Z. Okay. Everything kind of got resolved. Act 2. Well, turns out, we didn't realize this. We thought it was just the other class. People were actually in the theatre, because the theatre space is also studios to do rehearsing for dancers.
Yeah.
Wasn't the dancers that were in there. Just some random people came in. But we don't know who the hell they were, but were kids. Came in, literally yelled, "Hallelujah, boo," and then turned the fucking stage lights off.
Oh,
they got upstairs and turned them off. We're like, what the fuck is happening? There's that. The end of the second act, people are still quite annoyed because people are still on their phones. I go and tell them again. By the end of the third act, it looks like they've all left.
Yeah. Oh,
okay, fair enough. So the next day, I think, was that one? I can't remember if this one was our final show day. However, the class below, there's a girl in there who's from Spain. Now, for yourself or anyone that doesn't know of the Laramie Project, there's a character called Andrew Gomez, who is in the script. It quite literally states, portrayed as by Stephen Belber, states, Latino homeboy, that phrase, Latino homeboy, Andrew Gomez, because that's what he requested to be said for introducing himself. So, but it wasn't that. Don't worry. It was Adam McKinney's cellmate, Andrew Gomez, because the person who was saying it felt uncomfortable saying that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, the person playing Andrew Gomez himself put on a Spanish accent.
Uh-oh.
He's half Spanish.
Okay.
His mother, I think it's his mother's side, wholly Spanish, fully Spanish. His dad's side Scottish.
Right.
That's why I believe it is. The girl in the class below, called him racist. We had a white girl playing a character called Zubaida Ula, who is stated as being an Islamic feminist.
Right.
Now, she was also called Islamophobic. However, what they don't realize is that Islam is a religion of many races. It is a religion, not an ethnicity.
Yeah, I worked with a guy who had converted to Islam, and he is as white as me. It's like that was an education for me. I mean, me being me, I ask all the inappropriate questions, not to be rude, but it's just more so I can know and educate myself, so I know not to ask those inappropriate questions again if I'm around anybody else of that faith.
Exactly.
But I always say that to people. I say, like, I may come across as a racist, but I'm an accidental racist. I'm doing it to make sure that any things that are in my head that may seem racist, I get them out. You tell me that's okay, that's not okay. I learn, we grow, we all move on. Such is life.
I'm trying to find it because this kind of leads on to something in you saying that as well. So I found out from members of their class that there's 5 or 6 of them that just don't like what anybody says if it's not to their opinion. Now, I've been all over the fucking political spectrum. I have been communist left wing, I've been ultra right wing nationalist authoritarian. I stated that, to which point they don't know any of the names of people in my class, nor mine. They just know me as that guy with a red cap who's racist. So I have taken it upon myself to give myself the anti-hero name, the red cap racist.
Sounds like one of Deadpool's first character names.
Because if you think about it, right, if they're going to take the piss out, you might as well have fun with it. Yeah. So, because I'm not fucking racist, I couldn't give a shite.
Exactly. Everybody's an arsehole.
You are. You are who you are. Your skin color does not define that. Your characteristics do. If you're an arsehole, you're an arsehole.
That was my saying for years. I would say that. I wouldn't care if you were man, woman, or toaster. If you were an arsehole to me, I was an arsehole to you.
Exactly. This is why I like freedom of speech. You can say what you like, and if you don't agree with it, you can say you don't agree with it, and you can give your point of view. I can disagree with your point of view, but as soon as you start subjugating people, that's when I've got an issue.
Yeah, I think people don't realize nowadays, especially, that see if you don't agree with someone's opinion, and they don't agree with yours, you can still be friends with them.
That's one of the most major flaws currently in society. There is something I'll actually bring back to that one as well. I think this also kind of adds to the whole idea of the red cap racist as well. But it's something I had an opinion on, and I stand steadfast by it. Actually, I'll say it now. So, during the social media blackout for Black Lives Matter,
yes,
this a young boy. Well, this is a story that I heard. I'm not going to say the name of the person because it then comes to a point of, oh, you're that type of person. But it was the person who saw the story and he showed it. And it was a 9-year-old boy who enjoyed skateboarding, who managed to finally do a kickflip, a proper kickflip, and put it on social media during this blackout.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He was labeled racist, forced to apologize, and had to make a video apology publicly to his friends.
A 9-year-old.
Yes.
My God.
And his friends, who are also 9, were calling him racist.
Oh, my goodness.
And this is where it's gotten to. This is where that idea's gotten to, where there's a line when you can say something or do something, but it doesn't mean that it is that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my whole kind of point on it. Because at the end of the day, the kid's 9. If he does something cool, he's going to want to show people regardless. He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a dad of twin 4-year-old boys. Well, the amount of times they run up to me and constantly say, like, you know, I've done this, even if it's just that they've wiped their own arse on the toilet. Well, exactly. It's something that it's impulse control. Like, kids don't have that much control of their impulses until they at least get closer to teenage years. Well, exactly. So, oh my goodness. Well,
so there's that. So
I'm gonna have to like put my boys in like a convent or something to escape all this. Jeez.
So going back to the whole acting thing.
Yeah.
We're now doing our next production. Yes. So basically, there was this massive back and forth. The only reason that they said all of this was so they can get out of the fact that they were on their phones, they were sleeping, they were doing all this shit, right? That's the only reason that all these people said these things.
Yeah.
We're now on to our next production, which is called The Wonderful World of the Socia. If you've ever heard
of it. Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness gracious me. I have. Well, we had an option in our HND class of performing that or Arsenic and Old Lace, but because people hadn't read both the plays through and gave because it was going to be put to a vote. What about it? You had to read both plays through, to give your opinions on it, and then put it to the vote. A total of 2 people, me and another person, had read both plays, so the lecturer took both of us through. And he was, and this other guy, he was like totally like bricking it. He was scared of like the backlash of his peers, because he wanted to pick Arsenic and Old Lace, and so did I. But he was like, I don't want it to be like it was me that's made the decision. And I went, well, I'll make the decision, and that way you've got culpability. It's fine. So we did that. And in fairness, our show was pretty damn good because I was the lead and I was fucking awesome. But then the next year, the class below us did the Socia, so we came back to watch it. And you think it's bonkers reading it, and then you perform it. My God.
Watching it is something different.
Yes. Well, are you getting like the original music from the guy who originally done the play?
We're singing the anthem.
Oh.
Welcome to Dyssocia. We're so pleased to meet both of you. Just end my existence.
Yes. Oh man, and it's the total change from the first act to the second act, and what all the other audience who hadn't read this play, because I went with my girlfriend, now wife at the time. We went together. And I told her, look, I warned her, this is what's going to happen. It's going to go from being like totally mental, off the spectrum, to very minimal, isolated. It's not. It's going to feel like a totally separate play. And she was like, okay, fair enough. And he had other people who had been watching all this stuff. I mean, you know it yourself, like the hot dogs and the ketchup sauce and the mustard all flying everywhere, everything going nuts, the protectors from the big black dog, all that kind of thing. So they're all in a high thinking, wow, what's the second half going to be? And it kicks in, and it's just a tiny room and a tiny bed. And they're like,
as fuck.
Yep. And they're like, what have we just came in? What happened to the mustard?
See, here's the fun bit. Now, I understand exactly what you meant when you said the mustard. I know exactly what you mean because I'm playing argument. So I'm playing argument. What does that mean?
Oh.
I'm sticking to the description of the character. So, to quote the description, basically, I get to be dressed as a male stripper. We're going with the style of the classic male stripper.
Hey.
And there's a charge at the end where, now, massive spoiler, because I wanted this from the start. I whip my trousers off, because stripper style trousers, to reveal either, I need to find one, but like I want a proper like bright neon green, like proper man thong.
You'll find one, man. I have every faith.
I know. I'm going to find one. I'm going to find a good one. And then I use the trousers as a battle stunt. Everyone's got weapons. I've just got my fucking trousers. I'm just going to run through the fucking audience just for these, literally with this most fucked up run where my legs are spread as far as I can. Literally, fucking shaved body, spray tan, bodybuilding oils, fucking slick back blonde hair.
Oh man, I'm
going for it.
You're gonna have such an interesting experience doing this play.
Trust me, I already am, and it's already come to the point of where there's already falling outs with some things.
So, yep. I can imagine. I can totally imagine.
So, let's go. I'll bring up 2 names, and you'll know exactly who I'm talking of, being Laughter and Ticket.
Yep.
So, they are the 3 Mungarees. For those that don't, for those that understand, it's basically just like their version of Musketeers.
Yes.
Now, you've got to be very energetic for this role. Both of them. One lassie is very nuts. She comes across as very melancholy. Like, oh, number 13, that's me. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, I try to portray voices as accurately as possible. So that's kind of the tone of the voice. I cannot describe over recent weeks, sorry, actually months, since starting college, my distaste for having to deal with people who are low energy, effectively succubi of my charisma. I now genuinely do not care for this play. I can't bring it for myself to care. That also brings up more drama as well, by the way. Because we did auditions, a guy just wanted to kind of see what he would get put as. Fair enough. Yeah. He did. He kind of got shafted. So what happens? Well, my dog went.
Breath here, man.
You know, my dog went.
Yeah.
Yeah, his went as well.
Oh no!
Unfortunately, his went. So he started to reclude himself. He didn't really.
Yeah.
He didn't really push himself out that much.
Yeah.
And this guy's basically my best mate of college.
Yeah.
So over some time, he does kind of start to come back in. He understands that he's been acting like a cunt, and he states that to some people.
Yeah.
To which point their response is, "Well, don't take out on us." Well, he hasn't been.
Yeah, it's the typical kind of attitude, though. If you don't really understand, like if you don't understand like mental health, essentially, like if someone's going through a rough time, well, it's not intentional to take it out on whoever it is. They're not even meaning it. It's just, it's a change. It's a change. It's like everything else. You go through a change.
It really is. And that's what really boils my blood with a lot of these people, is because a lot of these people claim to state they understand mental health problems and understand when people go through them. In the politest of sense, they fucking don't.
No.
Like, so for example, my lowest moment, I basically I know this sounds quite fucking cringy, but basically barricaded myself in a room, which kind of just happened.
Yeah.
Pissed in a bottle, didn't drink, didn't eat for fucking 3-4 days in an attempt to kill myself in the most slow, painful way possible, which unfortunately didn't work. So I was like, fuck it, I might as well drink something. I was banging my head against a fucking wall. Like, and I mean proper fucking going for it to try and give myself some sort of brain damage.
Yeah.
Didn't fucking work. Didn't even start any bleeding. I'm like, fuck. When you're in that level of your impulse is just to self-harm to that extent, not even in the sense of just to feel something, but because you're on autopilot and that's what your body just makes you do.
Yeah.
You're not going to understand the level to which a lot of people come from when they say, I am severely depressed. Because there's a lot in depression. I understand the severity of it, especially fucking experiencing it. And there's a lot of different effective versions of this autopilot.
Yeah.
Some people just think, I'm going to this seems like a good idea. They go to all these different shops, get God knows how much in the way of ibuprofen, aspirin, paracetamol, and they just fucking down it all.
Yeah.
And they just go and sit somewhere down it all and let life kind of go, not realizing it's going to take about 48 hours for all of that to kick in. And they're like, fuck. To which point they get time to think and they think, well, this isn't a really good idea. And they end up in hospital for a few days. Other people, they do take that plunge and do commit suicide.
Yeah.
And it is fucking rough. It is one of the roughest experiences that you can go through on your own. And even when you have people who fully understand what you're going through, and you'll have experienced this yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You can't even talk to them. It's not because, they don't understand, but you can't talk to them because you don't want them to feel the guilt of what you may end up doing.
Yep.
And that adds that pressure of like, well, fuck it, I now need to.
Yeah. And the closer the person is, the harder it is to speak sometimes.
Oh, of course. Of course.
But like I would tell, like, for example, like we've only like just met tonight. I would tell you probably everything that's went on in my life, all my mental health stuff, all the stuff that's happened to me, because I'd be like, you know what, we may see each other again, we may not. If we do, great. If we don't, fair enough, it's out there. What?
Exactly.
I could not tell half of the stuff I've went through to my mom and dad. It would break them. It would, and it has broke them. Well, because they do occasionally listen to the podcast, they now know more of the stuff that I've went through because I'm always honest about it. And yeah, they choose not to bring it up, and it's understandable. They don't want to think of their son. What? Because no matter how old I get, I mean, I'll be 35 this year in 2022. What? And I'm my own man. I've got my own house, my wife, my beautiful kids. What? But I'm still their boy. I'm still their baby. What? And they would, and it kills them to see anything bad that's happening to their son. Exactly the same as I would be with Kieran Corner had something bad happen to him. Well, and it's all, people can be taught about mental health. People can read all the books. They can they can research all the different medications. They can talk about every type of like psychosis or depression or medication under the sun. Doesn't make a difference. You have to have lived it. You have to have been through it to really understand it. And you're at a catch-22 because you don't want to wish what you go through on someone to understand it, but they'll remain ignorant of it until something like that happens to them. My dad was a prime example. Like, he didn't understand mental health. He was brought up in a generation of what, you can only be broken physically. You can't be broken mentally. And then his back gave out. Well, we thought it was his back. Turned out it was some nerves in his neck. Well, and he went into depression because he couldn't do the normal things. He was a physical guy. He still is a physical guy. Well, so he went into depression. And it was that point that I was like, Dad, I've been down this particular hole and I know how to get out. So let's go. And now I would rather talk to him about my mental health issues than my mum, because I know that he gets it now. Now it's a bit of a like a long diatribe, but it's also like a wee kind of an education to your classmates as well. What everybody has mental health. That's the whole point. We have a positive, we have a negative. Sometimes the scale just weighs to one side more than the other. Well, if you can find the balance, good on you. But it doesn't work like that. Well, there will be ups, there will be downs. Well, it's just the way of the world sometimes. And it's not fair, but that's why I do this podcast. I try and raise a bit of awareness of it and go, yeah, if a guy like me who has so many conditions that they will name a psych ward after him when he dies, what can go through all this pish and still do relatively all right and get a wife who loves him and two great kids and somehow manage with the shit of life, then anybody can do it. Anyone.
See, that's the point. I've got to raise this because you've just raised the point there. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, trust me when I say life can be the shittest fucking thing in the world. And even then, people will blame on every single aspect par themselves sometimes. And that's fair enough. Sometimes there is no one else to blame. Everyone else is to blame par you. But then there's those times that it's you that's to fucking blame. So, for example, you can have two men, one of whom is rich and one of whom is poor. The one who's rich has built a business for himself. He has got a wife. He's got kids. He's got the house. He's got the cars. He's got the luxuries. He does the holidays. But then you've got another who's been made homeless, who's been living on the streets, and who's effectively a vagabond. And both of them will be asked the same question of how did you get here? And both will respond with the same phrase, my father was an alcoholic. And it's entirely of how you take that. And that's where it comes in. And for example, like it is, my father fucked off twice, like I said. I've gone through the fucking ringer mentally. I've got a brother who was seen as the golden child, who literally at the age of 13 did it almost, who was drinking, doing drugs, fucking shagging cunts under the fucking sun. Yet all I did was sit in my room and play games. I was seen as the villain because I never went into school. Years later, he was still fucking doing it. But only by the age of 16 did my parents realize, oh, he's the fucking issue. But yet they still used me. That went through. My brother gets beaten up by fucking 3 6-year-old men because he thinks he's hard. Well, he got the fucking shit kicked out of him because he thought he was fucking hard. Still seen as a bit of a golden boy, except this time the parents realised, you're a fucking cunt. So, there's that. And it leads on to that, to effectively anybody watching this in the sense of, or anybody, for your shows for that, Marcus, I have seen a few and you are correct. And if anybody ever tries to challenge it, I'll challenge them back. You do speak honesty. You do say what you need to say, and sometimes you say what you want to say.
Oh yeah, there's a combination in there. Like you've got to have the say what you need to say, but just let it rip.
Exactly.
You just have to ask the dumb questions, and sometimes you just have to be a bit of a. I freely admit I can be a bell end, but can't we all? Can't we all?
Because it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, I say this. Sometimes being an arsehole is fucking amazing. It is just so fun. Literally, fucking poke the camel. Fucking trod on the toes and let's see what happens. Excellent. Because then you get to see the true essence of people, because you get, once I'll bring up somebody else, not naming names, but they have called me sexist, racist, homophobic, and so for reference, I understand, I'm 24, my girlfriend is 18. We met when, we only started effectively dating, quote unquote, when she was 17. I'm 24, so that's only been about seven-ish months now. Still legal within the entirety of Scotland and all of the United Kingdom, and even at this point, it's still legal. For that, I was called a paedophile.
Nice one.
However, I make fun of her nose twice. I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, just to point out, if your girlfriend doesn't want to be on camera, I can see her through the mirror behind you. So, yeah.
You're on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, David's girlfriend. I kind of had to point that out because I knew you didn't want to be on camera.
That's fine. You know what? That's fine. Just let her be on it.
Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, don't worry about the age difference. My wife is, she'll be 40 this year. I'll be 35 this year.
No, that's the thing. 7 years is literally nothing. I worked with a gentleman who was 18 when he met his partner. They got married about a year later. His partner was in his, I think it was like early 40s, something like that. He was then about 36. He was in his 60s.
Yeah.
Literally, they've been together 18 years. And they've got an 18-year age difference. And I'm here like, but seven's a bad number.
Yeah. It's all because of the lower down in the age, the more weird it seems. You said, your girlfriend is legal by all measures of consent, which is fair dues. But they'll still be like, oh, but she's no mentally mature. That's the one thing that really annoys me when they talk about mental health. Mentally mature.
I've got to put a caveat here. Neither the fuck am I.
Yeah.
I'm 24. I have a shelf full of Lego. I like that shit. I'm that much of a nerd I forged my own Grecian armor because I thought, fuck it, it'll be fun. I literally have anime statues because I thought, fuck it, they look cool. I am a grown man with grown man money, yet I am a child. I have literally in front of me 5 cream eggs I am yet to eat. They are in front of me, and yet to the side of it, I have drink, and on the other side, fudge.
In fairness, I will also say, I'm 35 years old. I have Thomas the Tank Engine trains, both Hornby, Bachmann, and not in their, and still in their packaging. I have the Railway Series collections, well, even the rare ones. Well, I have like Thomas the Tank Engine stamps that I got for my 30th birthday. Well, I have a Star Wars: The Force Ghosts from Return of the Jedi, what in the original molding, what the original Darth Vader. I have that as well. Well, I am a complete nerd. Well, I have a podcast. I also have a podcast dedicated to trains, well, and steam engines. Well, I have all of this stuff. Well, and yeah, so everybody says to me, "Oh, but you, oh, that's all babyish." I'm like, I don't give a shit. Life sucks. I can suck, but if I'm if I'm doing the grown up things, which is paying the bills, keeping my kids fed and watered, keeping a roof over their head,
exactly,
I am going to enjoy my choo-choo trains. Fuck off.
I have something you may like then.
Okay.
I have the original 1987 Kenner Leia. However, no jetpack. And no helmet.
Oh man.
But on the wall, however, I have the original 2001 preview of the Clone Trooper Phase 1. And then for 2020, for a small Christmas present to myself, I got the Black Series Phase 1 Clone Trooper. They are 20 years apart.
Yeah.
And yet I get fun out of both of them. I have up there on where you see all this stuff.
Yes, I see the pops as well. Yes.
3 Generersos, a BB-8, a Grand Moff Tarkin bobblehead, an R2-D2 Hoover.
Yes.
A Lego Stormtrooper clock, and then Emperor Palpatine. Sorry, at that point, Senator Palpatine. Not even Chancellor, not Emperor, not Supreme Leader, Chancellor. That's how far back that one is.
Yes.
And I'm proud of that because that's how much of a fucking nerd I am.
Yeah. And good on you, my friend. Good on you. Well, you know what? You actually remind me of one of my best friends, Grant. Well, and this is a compliment because, well, he is one of my best friends. Yeah, you're a Grant.
Go for it.
Well, you are a Grant. Like, he is one of my best friends. Well, love him to death. Like, he's such a brilliant guy. Well, and it was like you've talked about like the army. You've talked about like you know, the type of stuff that you like with like so you mentioned like your anime and your Star Wars and that, and the way you speak as well. Like you've got the same kind of inflections with how you talk and like how you tell a story. Now, because when you first started, I was like, you remind me of somebody. I can't click who. And then I just went, Grant. That's my mate Grant.
I remind somebody of someone's mate's Grant. Hell yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
nice.
My mate named Grant, not my mate's Grant.
Oh right. Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, my mate who is called Grant. One of my best friends.
Oh right. I thought you said your mate's called Gran. I'm like, I'm somebody's mate's Gran. Yes.
Well, in fairness, like my gran, she's in her 80s now. She's 85, and she's an OG Star Trek nerd. Absolutely. Watch the original Star Treks. And when I found this out at 10 years old, I was like, Gran, you're amazing. And her birthday is Christmas Day. I mean, come on. That's just fantastic.
That's just stupid luck.
It's bad luck, but that's why I always used to wind up saying, is that why you had kids so you could get another day with Mother's Day?
Oh,
man,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you know what, David, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you tonight, man. Like you're such a sound guy. You've got a good head on your shoulders, like even though you've been through like some shit. Anyway, that's also similar to my wife. She's been through so much trauma in her life that I told her to make it into a book and it would become an Oscar-winning movie because people love pain and misery. What?
They fucking do.
They really do. You look at those things: Slumdog Millionaire, Life of Pi, Boy in the Striped Pajamas, Castaway, all horrible, miserable existence of stories. Yet they're like universally acclaimed because people love pain, because they love to see someone survive it. And Alison, survived her pain, but you've survived yours, and you're trying to make something yourself. And I really respect that, man. I really do.
Thank you.
So what is the plan for afterwards? Are you planning on going to uni? Are you just going to take it and see how you go? You got to take a gap year. Be one of those gap year kids. What are you going to do?
So, at college, we do have a BA in honours, but it's in theatre practitioner as well, effectively becoming a theatre practitioner. I have applied for it. I've got the conditional. That's the backup, effectively. But the backup to the backup is HNC engineering, electrical engineering, because something.
Yeah.
Got rejected from RADA, unfortunately. Still yet.
Happens to the best of us, man. I got rejected from the conservatoire.
Oh, I'm still waiting to hear back. Well, I'll say hear back. I'm still waiting to hear back because I went to the audition because it was online this year.
Yeah.
Couldn't actually do it because I'd lost my voice from doing voiceover work for for an animation course.
Nice one, man.
Hell yeah. I played an old tribal leader. I played a 1950s painting. Hey. I then played a 2010s depressed guy who was kind of like Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, so and basically everybody in the 2010s.
Yeah, and then I played the Jabberwocky.
Nice.
Literally, I've destroyed my throat. My girlfriend's like,
yeah,
please do that again. Just don't talk. No. Now. So
that's preparing you for marriage, my friend. Where they just go, just stop talking.
Don't raise that word to me.
That's what
she can't hear it.
Yeah, don't worry. That's why I do the podcast. It's the closest to a social life I get these days.
Honestly, I feel that. I do feel that. So moving on further as well. So I've still got to do my RCS audition. I am trying to also start doing some actual work in the way of either film, theatre, television, solely because if I can start doing bits now, it gives me a better understanding of the actual industry. It gives me an understanding of how to actually meet people, how to network properly, how to establish myself as an actor, rather than just, here you go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So one piece, as the old man on this show, what the oldie, I will give you one piece of advice. I really wish someone would have gave me back then. I never thought I would get to the stage where I could actually say that to someone. Going to uni, going to the conservatoire, going to all these places, not the end of the world, not the be all and end all. You're actually better off not. I got into uni, I wound up not going because me being me, I fell in love. God damn it! But no, it wasn't just that. Obviously, I did fall in love because now I'm married to the woman. But
bless up.
Yeah. I don't know how she puts up with me. I really don't. But the bottom line is if you look at I don't have a show reel, because I never really had anything to put on it at this point in time. Touch wood. I had my HND, and I could have the honors of saying top of the class, all that kind of stuff, and knowing that I'm good. But you go through some amount of shit. Some amount of the rejection is ridiculous. The pressure is unreal. The bitching does not stop in the drama class. It carries on and on and on. No matter where you go, even if you go into an office job, it is there with office politics. It's fucking brutal. But
it's everywhere.
So if you feel like you're trying to do, get into these places and do these networks, and you feel like you're banging your head against the wall, create your own opportunity. Create your own stuff. Start with something for example, a podcast. That's how I kind of started dipping my toe back in. And now all of a sudden people are like, "Oh, what is your wise wisdom, you ginger guru?" And I'm like, I don't fucking know. You want to know? Come on my Ginger Sky to podcasting course, which will be out soon. But no, make your own opportunities, man. Make your own. Get a crew that you trust. Build your own empire. Even if it just winds up being something you do on the side, and you still have to do the day job. Keep going with it. Don't stop. The break will come, because if I can get a fucking break, anybody can. I got faith. I got faith in you, man. I think you'll be fine.
well, that kind of ties into what the next kind of stage is as well. Is it turns out that my neighbour's son is a theatre maker, actor, and director within Edinburgh. He doesn't just make theatre; he does film work as well, and he does do small line roles. A gentleman called Mark Kidd. So
I've heard of him.
Yeah, literally, my neighbour's son.
Yeah. See if you can get him on the podcast.
Well, of all things, I've messaged him and asked. I said, "This is what I'm doing." Blah blah blah. He said, "Yeah, I'd happy to give you advice if you want to chat anytime." I'm like, and then out of the blue, 6 days later, do you have any opportunities coming up that I can get involved in so I can have better understanding of professional theatre? Which is really a bullshit way of saying, please, I beg of you.
Yeah.
Now I'm not begging, but I am so close to getting on my knees.
Yeah, we can't get away with that anymore because of the casting couch.
Oh, don't even get me started on that thing. I would have made a fantastic director on that.
I would have made a fantastic person to go on the casting couch. I wouldn't have cared. I'd have been like, right, I've got to sleep with I can sleep with someone and then do something I love. Where's it got to go, man? I don't
care. Which document do I say? Okay. But yeah, no, that's kind of where it is. So like that's the current plan. Ultimately, like it is, I've got the girlfriend as well. Currently she's looking at me with the desk there, so I do love her. For now. Joking, I love you. Seriously.
But on this one, man, best advice I can give with the relationship is don't let it decide your world.
Oh, trust me, I don't let it.
But especially for her, because like she's 18, like she still has. You do still have that experience over her. She's got to figure out her way. I say it like she's not in the room, but I know she is in the room. It's advice for her.
Oh, she just can't
she won't respond. Oh, cool. You can play it back to her later or get her to watch the episode when it comes out on Saturday. I don't care. But
you're going to watch an episode of the Mental Ginger Show on Saturday? She said yes.
Cool. Well, so she'll be able to hear this advice. Well, you guys may fall apart. It just might there's a likelihood that will happen because it could happen to anybody. My wife could walk out on me tomorrow. Very, very likely. Well, just don't forget your own identities. Well, when you're starting to smush into this couple where you find your own, the Darren O'Brien thing, find your own language and you find your own things to gel with and stuff. Well,
yeah.
And there will be really shit times and really hard times where things are going to be like, oh my God, why am I still with this woman? I'm going to throw her under a bus and I will be driving that bus. Well, you will have, yes, that's an option. I even had it planned which number of bus I was going to hit her with. This is number 2. First bus, I was going classy.
Nice.
Well, but there will be times that you're like, why the fuck am I with this person? What is the deal? Well, I know it's a trodden saying, but it really is true. Like if you do care, if one of you really cares and wants to fight and wants to keep going and the other person feels the same way, you got to shut up. The person doesn't, don't waste the time. Well, just end it amicably, find other people to bang, move it on.
I thought I was going somewhere else there. I thought I was going to be reconcile. Nah, fuck it. Go work.
No, well, if it is meant to be, you will find your way back, and that's the whole point. Like, I'm honest with stuff. Like I dropped my video about, like, I was in a domestically abusive relationship. It was horrible. And I rode it out longer than I should have because I thought it's going to be different, and it never was. And it took me breaking that cord and going, no, fuck you. I am out. My exact words were, when she said we should go on a break, and I said, if I want a break, I'll have a Kit Kat. Fuck off. And that was the best. It was the best way I've ever broken up with someone. It was brilliant. But yeah. And then now I found my wife, and I just know that no matter what happens, no matter what shit hits that fan, I will always make sure that I go back to her because I know that's who my heart belongs to. So, but yeah. So
honestly,
yeah, you've got to be honest. That's what I say. Life is unedited, and so am I. I will never apologize for it. And I hope that some of the pish I talk actually resonates with someone and makes a bit of a difference. But you guys seem all right. What you in particular? Because I've spoke to you for the last hour and a bit. I like you. I think you're quite cool. Well, I think you're going to be okay. If your girlfriend might be like the one of this, like my wife, the silent type that could kill you and all your family in a heartbeat.
Don't tempt her.
Yeah, my wife used to live in a dairy farm. She knows how to castrate and work a shotgun.
My girlfriend, most of her family within the medical trade. So if she wants to eliminate me, she can do it. And know exactly where to strike.
Yeah, we've watched a lot of. I've also watched a lot of murder documentaries just so I can make sure I've got a backup in case she tries to cattle prod me.
She watches Criminal Minds. I'm like, oh, we're on about basically if you were to ever kill me, fuck off, likely. Listen here, you. I'll defend myself to the death. Wait, should have said that. Shit. Okay.
Don't worry, it's all going on. Nothing's.
I'm digging holes.
Hey, that's the best thing for being in a relationship. You always dig holes. Don't just think that I'm going to dig this hole and get out. You'll dig even more, and you'll dig further, and you will go through the entire Earth and probably head towards another solar system with digging. But if you still got the balls to do it when you're at my stage, where I've been with my wife for almost 9 years, we've been married for 6, we have 2 children together, and I still wind her ass up constantly and dig myself into the shit. It's how I know I may act pussy whipped, but I'm not totally pussy whipped.
You're not entirely in the back pocket yet.
Yeah, I always say to people that I am pussy whipped, because I like people telling me what to do. I like people tell me to avoid this trap. And Alison's very straightforward. She's like, look, if you do this, this is the bad stuff that will happen. You do this is the good stuff that will happen. I'm like, okay, I'll go with the good. Thank you for telling me. Need someone to be like, okay, I will just gladly take the orders. I'm cool with that.
Oh, of course.
But I'm also equal opportunity. So, for example, if she wants new furniture, she can go IKEA and build it her fucking self. It's like she was like, I want a garden. I went, all right, well, you get the shovels and the trowels and you do it then. But I've got a ruptured disc in my back. You want the garden? I don't want the garden. So we got AstroTurf. So you just got to remember that, man. Equality works both ways. It's a two-way street. She says that she wants something, she can fucking build it.
Well, of course.
Yep. And that's why I always say that, because everybody's like, oh, you sexist. I'm like, I am actually a feminist. I'm equal opportunities for everybody. Everybody can do everything because I am not a typical guy. It's like I can't play football for shit. I barely understand sports. I actually wanted girls because I thought, I'd be able to play tea parties with them rather than try and teach them how to kick a ball. And I got 2 boys. So yeah, they're 4 and they're already more manly than me.
I still remember just being a kid and just literally getting a trowel and just digging. Yeah. That's all I remember as a kid.
I remember when I was a kid, because I had no friends, I would go there was a wall at my primary school, and I would pretend it was like a control panel from Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I would be like, like a lieutenant, like working all his sums out and all that kind of stuff. And just live in my own little world. That's how I know.
Solid.
Yeah, that's how I know I'm totally messed up. I'm cool with it. Eventually you get through it and realize, yeah, there's medication to stop me being totally mental. Well, speaking of which, the last piece of question that I ask all my guests, if you could give one piece of advice to anyone struggling with mental health issues at this point in time, what would that piece of advice be and why? I understand this might be a little bit more difficult for you because you're like, you don't really show emotions and kind of stuff, which, if that works for you, totally respect it. But if you had something like your one nugget, what do you think it would be?
This one's going to sound quite strange.
We're all about strange here, man.
Find a hobby.
Yes.
The reason being, but when I say a hobby, I don't mean something like nature walking or cycling or anything active, because you can
exercise can fuck off, man. I hate exercise.
Don't get me wrong. Exercise is one of the most brilliant ways to build up dopamine within your head, right? It's fantastic. But dopamine isn't the happy drug. Serotonin is, and that comes through satisfaction. So if you find a hobby that is progressive, i.e. you start at a low level, get to a high level, It could be something simple like logic puzzles. It could be something like construction. So, for example, me, Lego. I feel incredibly satisfied when I build Lego. I can't do the stickers for fuck, but I like building Lego. For Christmas, I got the Japanese bonsai tree. That was the most fucking biggest pain in the arse. And it came from the biggest pain in my arse in my life, my girlfriend. I love her dearly. Just because she's looking at me.
Nice one, man.
But honestly, find a hobby, and it doesn't have to be expensive. Honestly, something as simple as just basic drawing, because what a hobby gives you the ability to do is focus on something.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that sounds stupid, but if you're focusing on something, you're not thinking about something. And that's the easiest way to say it. And I know this makes me sound quite fucking meat-headed.
It really doesn't, my friend. It doesn't. That is sound advice and sound reasoning. Well, 100%. It's why I asked the guests about this, and I wouldn't go to a medical person. They would say the same things. They would say, take medication if it's right for you. What, do exercise. What, do this, do that. What, all the stuff that's like regurgitated. You've been through it. You've been through this. You've been through the cluster fuck that is mental health. You've got through it. And your advice is get a hobby. Everybody can relate to that, because that's something that you always used to say, find a hobby. And it doesn't need to be expensive. It's something that takes your mind off of the worries of everyday life.
Of course, me. And that's the benefits.
Exactly.
For example, so for example, for me, like I say, Lego. For you, trains. Yes. For my girlfriend, it was drawing, but she stopped. For my mother, it is sewing, but not just sewing, but actually creating things like bags, bunnies, gnomes, all this, like, well, to say gnomes, like the kind of Santa gnomes, things like that. For my stepdad, it's just cars. Honestly, and the stepdad, he's got fucking severe PTSD. He just doesn't realize it. But when I say severe, it's through his dreams. And you can tell when he's got the emotions there. So there's somebody who's literally seen armor personnel carriers full of men get blown up in front of him. I know it sounds stupid, but honestly, when I say, and this is where the kind of trial and tests come in. So for me, playing video games as well, because it's that satisfaction seeing numbers grow. For some people may do drawing, jigsaws, logic puzzles being anything in between, baking, sewing, fuck it, if you want to, Warhammer, but do the painting. Yeah, Warhammer's expensive as fuck. Don't get me wrong, that one is expensive. But even then, nothing's stopping you going online and spending, even if it's not online, going to a fucking shop and spending about a tenner on all the supplies to do drawing or just color art. Yeah, like the art doesn't have to be fantastic because it's something you're starting out on. But by giving yourself a task to get better at, you're developing a skill with something that is later going to give you satisfaction. And fuck it, you may end up doing a hobby that becomes a job.
Yeah. Well, that's how this is kind of working out for me.
Yeah. So, like, it is a hobby that becomes a job. Perfect example. Who was it? It was actually, it's the stepdad as well. He likes his cars and whatnot, so he started to kind of start up selling some cars. Looks at cars, will buy them, kind of cleans them up, gets things done to them, and sells them on for a bit more of a profit.
Nice.
He's doing that. He doesn't have an actual depot at the minute, but he's looking at once in the next few years to actually quit his job and move on to selling cars.
Impressive.
There's that. Honestly, some hobbies, and actually my mother, I'm trying to press her to actually start selling some of her arts and crafts because it's more money.
Yeah.
But honestly, find a hobby, trial and test, but a hobby gives you satisfaction. And having that satisfaction fucking helps. Yeah,
it really does, man. Well, and sound advice, my friend. So we'll now come to the Dundee's favourite part of the show. Ask Andrew anything. This is where after me grilling my guests for well over an hour, almost 30 minutes, you could potentially break the record for the longest episode, my friend. So this is where we get to turn it around and you get to ask me a question. It could go very well. It could go very badly, but that's all part of the fun. So David, do you have a question for this mental ginger? He's thinking, my friends. This could be good.
Oh, wait, okay, guys. I think I've got one in aspect.
Hey.
Now, in the grand scheme, like you say, you've got a partner, you have children.
Mm-hmm.
How do you operate that while also operating a work life that is within the acting world? Because it involves things like travel, it involves distance away, time away from effectively your loved ones. How do you actually work with that?
The answer is I have not got to that stage just yet because I'm still in my day job at the time of this recording, where I work as a banker. Well, don't get me wrong. Well, there could be developments coming that will be taking me away from that job and into a career that is more on my skill set. That could be something that will be announced, probably not by the time this podcast episode airs, but potentially down the line. So I will have to figure that out. I will have to figure out how to juggle, being away from family and being away from loved ones. The end of the day, is it going to cause problems in my house? Yes, it will. My wife and I will argue. I was recently at shooting a TV pilot up in Prestwick, and it was one day that I was away on a Sunday, and my kids were so upset. They were clinging to me, and they were saying they didn't want me to go, and it broke my heart. It does. What you don't realize, two tiny little fuckers can just break your heart like that. They can, and they do, and they know that they can, and they do. That's why they do it. And it's the same like when I go to the studio once a month to record the podcast with the guys, and they say like, we don't want you to go. But I always have to remember, I'm doing this not just for me. I'm doing it for them. I want them to have a good life. I want them to have more things than I had, and I was very damn lucky. I had a good family, good mum and dad. Well, an arsehole of an older brother, but I love him dearly. I've got a solid family network. It went through hard times, but they're all there. But at the same time, I want more for my kids as well. Like I did my first acting thing when I was 6. They're now YouTube superstars and they're 4. Well, I did a video about like Thomas the Tank Engine. In 3 days, I had 2,500 views. Well, these kids are fucking awesome. Well, as you want them to have more than you had, no matter how good you may have had it. And that's why I'll keep pushing. That's why I'll keep fighting and be like, let's say to Alison, I've got a podcast thing I'm doing, or I've got a TV pilot I've been asked to be a part of, or what. It's all for the like my greater good. I want out my day job by the time I'm 40, which will be sooner than the 40. I want to set a good example to my kids to know that they can achieve anything that they set their mind to, but because they have so much potential. But the only way they're going to know that is if they see someone that they look up to that's doing it. And that person has to be me, because I'm their dad.
Of course.
Well, I don't want them to live in regret or say like they wanted to be, like if they wanted to be a dancer, but then someone told them, no, you don't do that. That's for girls, which could happen. Well, I wouldn't want that to happen. I'd be like, you know what? You want to dance? Do it, buddy. What? Because you can do anything. What? And I just got to keep those kind of goals in mind, and I want to set a good example for them. What? And I want to help people. Don't lose track of who you don't lose track of who you are when you're trying to get somewhere, because then it's just not worth it. What? And yeah. But so the other stuff, I'm sure I'll find out how it's going to affect me. What? I know there will be bad times. I know there will be times me and Alison will row. I know there's times that my kids will be upset if I'm away, if I have to stay over somewhere or have to be away for an overnight shoot, or if I'm lucky enough for something like that. But I'm doing it because I want to be the best person I can be for my kids.
Of course.
So, and if they don't understand that, which the kids won't because they're 4. But more importantly, if Alison doesn't understand that, then we'd have a problem. We'd have to address it. And that's all. Yeah. You'll deal with it when you get there, my friend. But right now, take advantage of the fact that, you've got a girlfriend and you can potentially bog off and do things. Take advantage of it, my friend.
Trust me, me and her, we've already gone through that point with Rada in the sense of, okay, yeah, going to go down there. She's like, no, I can't do it. You're going to have to break up with me because I can't break up with you. And it's like, it's just for a bit of time. Relax.
Yeah.
But now, I've not got the fuck in, so she's happy.
Yeah. Maybe she
thought.
Well, in fairness, like I said to you earlier, drama schools are not the be all and end all.
Oh
yeah. They prepare you for the ideal path, but the ideal path never pans out that way. So if you go down the real working route, you'll have a lot more experience with them in the long run. And you've got that.
I think you might like. A phrase I think you might like comes from a stepdad. No plan survives contact with the enemy.
There we go. Your stepdad sounds like a sound PTSD guy. What you said? So yeah. Well, David,
there's a small bit of advice.
Yeah, there we go. See, that's something I have to always do. You always have to learn. No matter if you're 24, 35, 60, you'll always learn something. And be willing to take the advice from someone younger than you. Well, that's what I do. Well, I have taken your advice on board, my friend. I am always learning.
And I'll always come back to this podcast just to reiterate every point I've heard.
Yeah, that's why I do some videos every now and then for myself, so I can look at it and remind myself of why I'm doing these things and why, even though it's shit scary to pick up the mic and be brutally honest about my life, there's a reason for it. And it is the main goal of anything I do is to help people. And if one person could come off of it and say, you know what, I enjoyed that, or the guest comes off and says, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, I'm like, I take that as a win.
See, this is the best part for me is I just have no fear. Like I say, I can stand on stage and do a recording in front of the better part of 50 people, or just do a 1-to-1 and it's going to get recorded and put up on YouTube. To me, it's all the same. It's like the only difference is live theatre, where you get that little bit of rush, like, all right, better go on now.
Yeah, you get the little adrenaline spike as well. It's a great laxative as well when you get older.
Don, I'm already seeing the effects of it at 24. I'm already an old man.
Yeah.
Apart to my girlfriend, I'm 24 going on 63.
I've been an old fart since I was 4, my friend. We're okay.
Bless him.
Definitely. Nothing wrong with an old head on young shoulders, my friend. David, you have been an absolute pleasure to talk to, my friend. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to come on and being part of this madness. Well, I really respect it. So for anybody that is going to be listening, maybe wants to check out, do you have like a professional Facebook or like Instagram or whatever? Sell it, my friend.
I don't have any of that up as of yet. However, I do have a Gmail account.
I have a copy of it.
Thank God. However, most likely I'll just, if you want to go and follow me on Instagram, it is effectively just david.g.mcd. The pictures are cringy, but that's why. Literally, I kind of follow. I follow the John Cena approach, which is post funny shit. Just post shit.
Well, I follow the John Cena approach of most people can't see me.
Actually, we did there, sir.
Thought you would like that. Well, I will put any links that you're wanting to share. Let me know. I'll put them in the description that is down below for anybody that is watching. Well, and seriously, the guy seems all right. Give him some work, because if you don't, I might.
Oh, sweet.
Cool.
Hell yeah. Entry.
Yeah. So until next time, my faithful followers, I've been Andrew Durnan. This has been David McDevitt. Well, and until next time, take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.